It either Kid Pool says,
"Hey, when I want your opinion, I'll take Wolverine's dick out of your mouth."
Or she says, "Hey, when we want your opinion, I'll take my panini out of your mouth."
After Ryan Reynolds not only destroyed their public persona, but also drew their 7-year-old daughter into his warped sense of humor, Blake Lively is now inconsolable.
Inez is a girl. Inez is 7 years old. Inez is a child. Inez is your child.
By coercing the child into uttering a frightening statement that she initially obviously refused to say, he demonstrated that he was a careless, tone-deaf father.
He is a predator, a bully, a narcissist, a psychopath, and everything else that you can think of.
Deadpool 3 behind-the-scenes videos went viral online, and all of a sudden, Blake Lively Hollywood's professional Pinterest board was on internal Zoom calls, sobbing uncontrollably. Real tears, not movie ones.
Because it is that gross.
Not those phony, "I'm giving in to the pressure from the media because their own daughter," yes, their real-life 7-year-old, became the spokesperson for one of the most repulsive quotes ever included in a superhero film.
What Ryan Reynolds forced his daughter to do on Deadpool is one of the most abhorrent things I have ever heard of.
And guess who's perched atop this decaying mess? Ryan Reynolds, who everyone once believed to be a lovely and humorous legend, is now a full-fledged public relations disaster with sarcasm as his only line of defense. I'm afraid, though, that sarcasm cannot save you from this. Ryan.
Even the daughter was forced to tell a sexually vulgar, predatory gay joke.
Not only is Ryan being ridiculed by the public, but the very industry that once admired you is now giving you the pink slip along with the words, "Please never write dialogue again." That is a nosedive into your own awful judgment, not just a fall from grace.
You made this girl practice different iterations of Wolverine having his male genitalia in her father's mouth. Deadpool.
Let's face it, between parental scandals and litigation that would force smaller nations into bankruptcy, this is a crime scene straight out of a movie. This couple's development has outpaced Ryan's acting career since Deadpool 3. It's similar to witnessing a high-end car crash in slow motion, except that the car is burning and pulling a stroller in its wake.
When she didn't want to do it, well, I'm just going to find someone else to do it. And then, no, daddy, I'll do it. See, when a narcissist, when they're trying to manipulate you, and you can see the grooming.
The line that 7-year-old Inez Reynolds' child was instructed to say on camera in a Marvel film was, "When I want her opinion, I'll take Wolverine's doc out of your mouth." It was the infamous line that was leaked, shared, memed, analyzed, and yelled about on every platform. If you haven't heard it yet, get ready, because it's nauseating. Allow yourself to process a first grader saying that.
Why would you write a line that says your child will take her panini out?
And so she's saying panini, but it's the word's dick.
Oh no, this wasn't a one-time linguistic blunder. In perhaps the most embarrassing behind-the-scenes moment ever, Ryan himself boasted that she had been forced to do it between 70 and 500 times, since there's no reason to traumatize your child just once when you can do it repeatedly, as if it were some sort of repulsive vocal warm-up.
Poor guy.
Our fight isn't with you. When I want your opinion, I'll take Wolverine's dick out of your mouth.
That's kid.
Guiltily, that is my daughter, Inez.
I'm so sorry we have to admit that.
And I am Father of the Year over here for allowing her to say such language.
And let's not forget that she initially didn't want to say it. Can you imagine being so disgusted that your 7-year-old has better judgment than you? She repeatedly said no, and Ryan used the classic narcissist tactic. "If you won't do it, I'll find someone else," in place of treating his child with the respect that a normal parent would.
I am Father of the Year over here for allowing her to say such language, which, to her credit, she really didn't want to say, and then came back later and said, "I want to say it now."
Manipulation level 100, she surrendered, as you might imagine, because that's what kids do when they're afraid of upsetting their parents. It wasn't funny, and she didn't change her mind because she didn't want her father to be upset.
Such language, which, to her credit, she really didn't want to say, and then came back later and said, I want to say it now, when I started looking at other people to play it.
But
Ryan, on the other hand, genuinely declares himself Father of the Year and laughs about it on camera as if it were just a strange parenting story. You're the poster child for what not to do with a Hollywood kid, dude.
look, you can write this all you want in the script, and like I said, you can just have a voiceover actor. You can literally have the Kidpool character say, hey Wolverine, you're my dad. It doesn't matter what they say, you can dub it in post-production, right?
Since this isn't the kind of line that works well under the Disney umbrella, the same Disney that filters out cleavage and forbids animated characters from holding hands if it's too much, Marvel executives were in full panic mode. However, hey, a kid making a sexual joke about Wolverine apparently went unnoticed until it didn't.
This is what Marvel has decided is appropriate.
Given how dysfunctional the industry is already, activists came out swinging, calling this whole event one of the most heinous things they have ever witnessed involving a youngster in Hollywood.
Everyone involved in this movie can burn in goddamn hell. Because the fact that you thought that this was cute, funny, a joke, you're grooming this child right before our eyes, and you're so proud of yourself.
Lastly, let's discuss Ryan Reynolds, the man behind the smirk that has been deceiving everyone for far too long. Once Hollywood's golden retriever, he is now simply the person who dismissed his daughter from Marvel for the sake of a cheap chuckle.
Line. It wasn't a joke. There's nothing funny about this. This is grooming. This is grooming on the screen. For a child, a little girl, to have to say this, Disney, what the hell is wrong with you?
On the internet, people are calling him a bully, a narcissist, and worse because this isn't some edgy adult humor. This is your own child being used as a joke in $1 billion business. Oh, he's getting destroyed. They're not just angry, they're disgusted.
I made her do it, and she didn't want to. To our discredit, we did make her redo it 500 times with different lines that were sexually graphic.
We must not overlook his treatment of women, as this is nothing new. He has dedicated his professional life to making fun of his wife. Interviews on the red carpet social media Blake is always the prelude to his next clever remark. The man utilizes women as props in his comedic acts and then cowers behind the excuse that he's simply being funny.
So just like he does with Blake Lively, he's always denigrating his wife. He's always praising another man, especially Hugh Jackman, who he seems to have a deep love and fondness and intimacy with.
Additionally, Ryan made sure to include Justin Baldwin in this issue despite the fact that the poor man didn't ask to be involved. In Deadpool 3, he said something along the lines of, "Don't mind him, he's just dealing with legal trouble over a movie no one asked for."
Ryan Reynolds, has seemingly done, right, is used his power and influence to not only help Blake Lively take over this movie, he's used it, on Deadpool to make fun of Justin Baldwin.
According to sources, the joke was intentionally petty and featured in several iterations. Because, evidently, nothing says professional like disparaging a fellow filmmaker in the midst of your daughter's grooming scandal. Ryan used a $28 million film as a personal burn book.
And it looks like the same thing that he does to his wife, he is doing to his daughter. He seems to have a deep hatred for the women in his family, other than his mother, who participated in the bullying tactics with that little skit that she did with all of them.
And guess what Marvel did with that joke? They took it down and cleaned it up because, in addition to being completely inappropriate, it might have been the last straw. The rumors are that Marvel is putting him on a creative leash now that the quiet firing is already taking place. Although he is still technically in the film, his power has been taken away, his control has been cut, and his ego is still enormous, but at least it is now being watched. Now, let's talk about the other half of this disastrous duo. Blake Lively truly made an effort to maintain her composure when she appeared in Deadpool 3 as Lady Dead, acting as though nothing was wrong and she was standing with her husband without being embroiled in controversy, while their own child was being used as fodder.
And it looks like the same thing that he does to his wife, he is doing to his daughter. He seems to have a deep hatred for the women in his family.
However, When people realized that she was fully aware of the scene her 7-year-old daughter was thrust into, her composed yoga mom persona quickly broke down. You may recall how the story initially surfaced that she was uncomfortable with the line, but eventually lost control. Well, it turns out that was as real as her red carpet smile.
How he completely tries to embarrass and humiliate Blake Lively over and over again publicly while he praises other people. And it looks like the same thing that he does to his wife, he is doing to his daughter. He seems to have a deep hatred for the women in his family.
The reason for the intense backlash was that Blake, the same woman who has been out there positioning herself as Hollywood's wholesome feminist icon, was essentially approving a line for her daughter that would make most stand-up comedians uneasy. Blake, who posts about empowerment and motherhood, is now connected to a scene where child advocacy groups were prepared to sue but went off girl boss.
And whatever manipulation or bullying tactics they have to do, they're going to do it. Did they do that to their own daughter? Silent treatment, gaslighting.
And now that people know she co-signed the most horrible line in recent movie history, they're asking the hard questions. Was she truly uncomfortable, or was she just trying to minimize the damage? Rumor has it that she didn't just let the scene happen. She allegedly assisted in pressuring her daughter to say, "Yes, mommy dearest in action," even though Ince didn't want to. Blake might have used the classic "let's not disappoint daddy" guilt trip enabling move when Ince didn't want to do it.
You look at these instances and you go, these aren't good people. Or at the very least, they're not thinking critically about what's good for their family, really, you know?
At Disney's internal discussions, Blake reportedly broke down in tears, mascara running, and blamed Ryan for making creative decisions without consulting her. Oh, please, now she wants to act as though she had no say, even though she was in the movie and a cast at the set table. You mean to tell me that you were unaware that your daughter was rehearsing a line about Wolverine's junk girl? Your denial is working overtime.
They have this oversight, and I don't know what the excuse is, but it's just one of those situations that when the internet's already coming at you for this lawsuit, and Blake and Ryan being on kind of the wrong side of the fandom here, right?
Naturally, this entire situation brought to light Blake's biggest hits and scandals that she likely hoped the internet would forget, such as the time she and Ryan were married on a real plantation encircled by slave cabins because apparently Pinterest aesthetics were more important than human history, or the time she claimed to be partially Cherokee for vibes. Oh, then to round out the trifecta, she cuddled up to Woody Allen on the red carpet. It seems that the moniker of protective feminist doesn't hold up well when your career is based on a mountain of tone-deaf choices.
Thinking critically about what's good for their family, really, and it puts their daughter and them in a very vulnerable position.
While Blake is dealing with PR meltdowns, Baldwin is suing her for an impressive $400 million. Let's face it, this isn't your normal lawsuit. Rather, it's a full-fledged Hollywood war, and Ryan unexpectedly thrust himself squarely in the center of it. Meanwhile, another storm is brewing across Hollywood, and Justin Baldwin's name is all over it.
The lengths that he and Blake Lively went to destroy Justin Baldoni, how even now they're filing these ridiculous motions to dismiss, claiming victimhood, pretending like they didn't do anything wrong, still lying on Justin Baldoni, saying that he is a sexual predator.
Baldwin asserts Blake went all out, accusing him of things he didn't commit, and employing a PR smear campaign to shift public opinion against him. This sounds familiar, as Ryan is now being associated with the same predatory label following what occurred with his daughter Karma. And it's not just real, it's trending.
He is a certified predator, and that is protected language, like he said in his motion to dismiss, that because it's opinion to say somebody is a predator, well, then that is my opinion.
Disney, on the other hand, apparently recognized the writing on the wall quickly and threw their support behind Baldoni, even providing him legal support and future directing opportunities. This isn't subtle, it's a loud shout that says, "We're done with the Reynolds circus." Unless you have chosen a side, you don't give a guy new projects while suing the wife of your franchise star.
I want to go through is how he completely tries to embarrass and humiliate Blake Lively over and over again publicly while he praises other people.
The last nail in the coffin was that sardonic Deadpool line directed at Baldoni's legal issues over a movie that no one requested. It wasn't a joke. Rather, it was a hit piece, a jab directly from Ryan's resentful little typewriter. According to sources, the joke was in multiple versions of the script, meaning that it wasn't an improv moment, but rather a planned burn that backfired more forcefully than one of Deadpool's grenades.
Oh, I'm Deadpool. And I guess you're Deadpool too. But in here, everybody calls me Nice Pool. Oh my goodness, wait till you see Lady Pool. She is gorgeous. She just had a baby too, and can't even tell. I don't think you're supposed to say that. That's okay. I identify as a feminist.
After glancing at that, Disney declared, "Yeah, we're done here." That is allegedly the reason for their decision to sever their relationship with Reynolds. Not with fanfare, but with icy executive silence. The kind of termination that occurs quietly and without a splash, but rather with a gradual decline in creative importance.
And that's what he says. So he kind of basically forced his daughter to do the line, or else he's going to replace her as an actress in this movie. She's 7 years old, you guys.
Speaking of Disney, were they not prepared for this mess? As soon as the Baldoni joke was revealed, Disney apparently went into full panic mode. They allegedly ordered the line to be removed from every version of the movie, not just asking for it to be cut. That's how quickly they moved to test audiences. The backlash erupted, and Mickey Mouse was on the verge of a public meltdown.
You have to investigate any further, because there is no father in his right mind who would want a scene in which his daughter makes a, I guess, homosexual joke.
Executives were concerned that the joke may jeopardize their upcoming collaborations with Baldoni since, in contrast to Ryan Baldwin still has a career in the business that does not include taking advantage of his child for amusement. Disney is aware that a man who reduced Deadpool to a pointless roasting session is not where the long-term money resides.
That is just unbelievable. He is admitting that she was not, Nezzy, as she is called, was not comfortable doing this line, and Ryan essentially said to her that I'm going to find another actor, which is pointedly ridiculous.
According to leaks from within the studio, Ryan received a warning to tone it down or face termination. They even went back over the entire script following the leak, pointing out further gags that might have legal repercussions. They no longer trust him that much.
And if you actually dissect the lines, they are catastrophically gross.
According to rumors, Ryan Reynolds, the former Marvel's Golden Kid, is now essentially the office liability who nobody wants to attend meetings with. His Deadpool influence has vanished, and his jokes require approval. Disney is looking for a brand-safe replacement because of how poisonous he has become. He abused his daughter on film, used his own franchise as a weapon of retaliation, and yet had the audacity to wink as though he was smart.